guys, it's Cookie and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be making a custom Beanie Boo. We are going to be turning Frankie Stein from Monster High into a Beanie Boo. I've had the idea of a zombie Frankenstein dog for the longest time. Ever since I saw this little Sylvanian family set with the little Frankenstein or zombie dog. I don't know which one he actually is. I think he might be a zombie. And while actually coming up with the concept and design of this custom, I just kept going back to Frankie Stein from Monster High, and I knew that I just had to make this Beanie Boo completely inspired by her. I have been thinking about this custom for so long, it's all I can think about. So without any further ado, let's just get started. Now, something I was struggling with was deciding what base to use for this custom. So, I lost the footage of me explaining why, but here's a summary. Sleigh Belle is definitely giving off a Frankenstein vibe because of the different fur textures, but previously I have dyed this Beanie Boo and the fur textures dye differently, so we won't get an even color with this Beanie Boo. Plus, I think the bolt placements would look better on the head, but the long ears could represent her hair very well, whereas Honey Bun definitely has a more feminine build. She could be a little bit basic. I will have to change the ear fabric, which is something I've never done before, but overall I'm getting more of a Frankie vibe from her. Today we are going to be turning Miss Honey Bun into Frankie Stein. This is the concept design I worked up. So we're obviously going to be dyeing her a lighter mint green. We're going to be changing her inner ear fabric, and we're going to be swapping out her eyes and adding a little stitch on her face. And I also intend to add more stitches on the body, but I'm not entirely sure on the placement yet, which is why I didn't draw it on. But I'm also trying to leave the body a bit more basic and blank because I do intend on making her outfit. I just think that would be really cool. And I think I'm getting ahead of myself, but I also really want to attempt making her little dog-like character because I also have this little Pippi clip that I can customize, which I think would make the perfect little pet for her. Like, I feel like it would be really cool to do this. Hey guys, Future Cookie here. I forgot to add a little disclaimer to this video. Obviously, I'm customizing a Beanie Boo, which means I'm going to be cutting open this Beanie Boo. I'm going to be dyeing this Beanie Boo, removing parts of this Beanie Boo, adding parts to this Beanie Boo. It's a whole process. So if anything like that disturbs you in any way, shape or form, maybe this video is not for you. But always keep in mind that none of these things are to hurt a Beanie Boo in any way. It is purely for customization purposes. So now that all of the planning is out of the way, let's get into actually making this custom. The first thing I want to do is remove the heart. I always save the hearts and stuff that I remove from Beanie Boos as little pillows or accessories. But now that the heart is removed, we have a very plain base. I also forgot we need to remove the tag, so I'm going to do that really quick. And one other thing we're going to do before we change locations, I'm just going to cut this little stitch that holds the ears down. Now, the first thing we're going to have to do before we swap out the eyes is cut a seam along the back. But that's kind of already happened. I'm not sure what happened. Something must have happened before to this Beanie Boo because the seam is already basically cut. So I don't have to do that step anymore. So instead, we're just going to remove all of the stuffing from her and then we're going to store it in a plastic container to put back later. Normally, to cut the seam, I would use a seam ripper. This is such a handy tool if you're a customizer. This makes cutting seams so much easier and we'll definitely be using this later. Now that I have all of her stuffing in the container, here she is, and wow. What do we think, guys? Yeah. Beanie Boos look really weird on the inside, but now the only part of her body that still has a little bit of stuffing is just her mouth. I find it easier just to leave it like that. It usually doesn't fall out, so it should be alright. But now that we are inside out, we're going to be changing out the eyes. For this part, I'm definitely getting my dad's help because I cannot do this by myself. I've tried countless times, but the best strategy for me is just getting my dad's help. Okay guys, it is now the next day and the eyes have been removed by my dad. Unfortunately, I couldn't record the eye removal, but basically what he did was just go in with a blade, kind of like a box cutter, and he just trimmed around each of the edges around the black bit of the eye. That way it's easy to slip off the backing and separate it from the eye. So yeah, that is how he did it, just with a box cutter around the edges so it can slip off, and then boom. Now of course I do not recommend you do it by yourself. It is a lot easier to get help, a lot safer. So please, if you want to do this, get some help from an adult, from your parents, from literally anyone. But yeah, now that that is done, I'm going to be dyeing this Beanie Boo. I'm going to try and mix the peacock green and tropical teal RIT dyes to make a really light mint green. RIT synthetic dye is literally the only thing I use to dye my customs. It is the only dye that I have found that actually works on Beanie Boos, since they are made of synthetic fabric. If you're ever trying to buy dye for Beanie Boos, definitely get synthetic dye, otherwise it will not work on them. I'm also going to be dyeing the little eye socket bits, I guess. Every Beanie Boo kind of has a rim around their eyes, so I want to make sure that it's the same color. And once everything's dyed, we'll put in the new eyes. I have one green eye and one blue eye. I ended up having to take her out of the dye because the fur wasn't picking it up while it was inside out. Okay guys, I'm letting the water heat back up because it got a bit cold, and then I'm going to try adding a little bit of yellow to kind of brighten it up. Right now her color is getting there, but she looks really dull. I think it's just because of the shade of green the dye is, so I think adding some yellow will brighten the color. Okay, I don't know if I'm delusional, but I think it's working. Okay guys, I think she's almost ready. I don't want to leave her in for too long because I want her color to be really, really light. Okay, I think she's ready. Okay, I don't know if it's just my eyes might be tricking me, but she still looks a bit white, but I feel like she's going to be the perfect shade. I just can't tell. I think I'm just gonna let her dry now. Oh my god, guys! I just emptied the water and I forgot about these! I think I'm gonna try and replicate the color because these need to be dyed. I think it's a pretty solid match, not gonna lie. Hey guys, it's been a couple hours since I left her outside. These are completely dry, they're very thin, so I was expecting that. But Miss Frankie is still quite damp, and it's now dark outside, so I'm instead going to go in with the hairdryer and just dry her a bit. I'm just gonna keep it on the warm setting so she doesn't get burnt or anything like that. It really shouldn't take too long because she is just fabric instead of being stuffed. I really want to work on her and change out her ears tonight and also put in her new eyes, so I'm not gonna wait until tomorrow and use a hairdryer instead. Okay guys, she is basically fully dry now. She is a little bit damp on the bottom of her feet and tail, but other than that, she is fully dry. I don't think this is the best lighting for her, but her color is really pretty. I'm really happy with how it turned out, and I am so excited to start on the ears. She's looking like a Christmas custom right now, so let me show you the fabric we're swapping her ears to. Here's the fabric we're going to be making the ears out of. I know this isn't exactly what I had in mind at the start. I really wanted the stripes to match her hair, but unfortunately I couldn't find a fabric that looked how I wanted. All of the striped fabrics were really thick, but this one is a lot thinner and I think we'll get some good coverage for the ears anyway. I'm hoping I can avoid the white stitch lining. This is also the fabric I'm planning to make her outfit out of, so I think it'll look better because it'll be in the ears as well, but hopefully it doesn't make it too much. We'll just have to see. I actually think before we remove the ears, I might add in the eyes really quickly because I really want to add the eyes and she's looking a little crazy right now. So as I said before, we're going to be adding one green eye and one blue eye. Now in the photos, she has the green eye on the right and the blue one on the left. But when I actually looked it up, it said that the green eye was on the left and the blue one was on the right. And even though I want her to match the photos, I really do want to stick to what is actually correct. So we're going to go with the left green eye and the right blue eye. And now that it's all pushed in, I'm going to go in with a hot glue gun and go around the edges of the black bit of the eye. The eye already looks pretty good, not gonna lie. And while we're waiting for the hot glue gun to heat up, we might as well pop in the other one as well. And ta-da! She's starting to look like a Beanie Boo again. So I just let that sit and dry, and now it's time to work on the other one. And now this one's dry too. Okay, now that her eyes are fully in, it's finally time to get rid of this red fabric. So now that we have both of the ears removed, it's finally time to change out this fabric. Hello everybody, a little update. I forgot to press record again, but I sewed completely around the ear and closed it, so I can't actually get into the ear and flip it inside out. So what I've done is just cut the rest of the thread, and I'm going to go back a couple stitches and pull through the thread so that I can tie it off a little bit further back instead of having to redo the whole thing. And now that I have my opening, I'm just going to tie this off. I'm going to tie it until there's enough knots that it won't slip through. Now that it's flipped the right way, I'm just going to sew this little bit up. Okay guys, my first attempt of putting the ear back on isn't looking great. There's a very visible white strip which is really annoying, so I'm going to remove the ear and try again. Okay, I removed the ear, and instead what we're going to do is flip her back inside out to put the ears back in. But before we sew the ear back in, I'm just going to finish the other one. So we're just going to repeat the process that we did with this one. That way we can actually put them in at the same time. I'm not sure how I feel about these. They're definitely not twins, but I did do this one a little bit different because I know that I'm going to be sewing this part in, whereas with this one I completely forgot. So now I'm going to finally sew these in. Need these inside out as well to do that. Oh my goodness, how many mistakes am I gonna make? Hey guys, it is the next day, and unfortunately something literally catastrophic happened. Last night when I was recording and swapping out the ear fabric, when I was actually putting the ears back on, my phone died in the middle of recording. So I lost like 20 minutes of footage. I didn't even get a warning that my phone was gonna die either. So I really do apologize that this video is such a mess. We've not recorded scenes, and now I've lost a huge chunk of footage. But an update, Miss Frankie finally has her ears and she's looking pretty good. The dye did still miss a couple spots though. There's a bit of white under the ears, but I think it should be fine since we're pinning her ears down anyway. But now it's time to bring back her stuffing and stuff her. Yay, she is now all stuffed. I just need to add this little beanbag thingy. And now that that's in, we can sew up the back. So now that she's all stuffed and sewn up at the back, she's actually looking really, really good. I'm very, very happy with her at the moment. I think we'll pin the ears down next since it'll make the placement for the stitch a lot easier. The last thing I want to do is cover the stitch with the ears. So yeah, let's pin those down. Okay, I'm definitely gonna have to redo this one because I want them to sit more like this instead of like this. I just want to make sure we can actually see the pattern instead of it being hidden. So I might just try and put this one down first instead. Okay, I think this looks better. Yeah, I don't know. I think I just need to see them both down and then I'll be like, yes, this is it. I want to make sure that these are as even as possible. So I'm going to pin this one down a little bit more and then I think we will hopefully be done with the ears because, oh my goodness, these are taking way more tries than I thought. Her ears are now done. I am very happy with them actually. I was a little bit worried for a second that they weren't going to turn out well. And it is now time to move on to the face stitch. I have this thread that Mimi used as a play toy. And then I also have this one that's kind of a silvery color. This one is really shiny and I think this one might be the one I'm leaning towards. I just think the metallic kind of finish is exactly what we need. So let's see if this works.
Okay guys, I think I'm just gonna go for it because I don't know, I don't think this is gonna work, so yeah. I was also supposed to check what side this was supposed to go on and I only just remembered. So I'm gonna go over that and I'm gonna go under over here. I mean it's there, like it's definitely there. Just might need a few minutes. I mean it's definitely something, you know, like it's there, for sure. I don't know how to fix it. I don't really love the look. If I'm being honest, like this looks silly. Okay, guys, I don't this is the way to go. This is looking weird. We're gonna have to think of something else. I mean maybe, I don't know, I don't think so.
Okay guys, I took a little bit of a break, but I am back now to work on the stitch again. I'm really glad that it didn't work with the thread because one, I was doing it on the wrong side, and two, it just wasn't gonna work. Anyway, I've come up with a better idea, and instead of using string, we're going to be using hot glue. So what I'm going to do is lay down a piece of baking paper and make the stitch shape out of hot glue, and then once that's cooled down, we will transfer it on to Miss Frankie. And one thing that I almost completely forgot to add, that was literally the whole reason I'm making this custom in the first place, is the bolts. So I'm going to be making those out of hot glue as well. I'm also going to paint the stitching and the bolts silver. I did think about using real bolts, but I don't want to risk the possibility of them rusting, so hot glue is the next best thing. Okay, after a lot of trial and error, this is what we have. I know it's not the best looking, but I think it can add to the look. I did make the bolts quite smaller, but I think it'll be fine once we paint it. It'll look much better, I think. And I'm so glad that Past Me saved this paint from some sort of craft kit, and it has this metallic silver. So I'm going to paint them in a white coat and then go over it with this. For the base coat, I'm just going to use this chalk paint. I love chalk paint. It dries so fast. I also just put some more baking paper down so that I don't get any paint on the table. Okay guys, these are finally done. I did multiple coats and also added a clear coat of nail polish on top to seal it all. As you can see, I was a bit messy with the paint, but that is exactly why we had the baking paper. I'm actually pretty happy with how they turned out. I think they look really good. Now the next thing we need to focus on is how to actually get these to stick. I was originally planning on using hot glue or something like that, but I don't know if it's actually going to like fully stick down. I really don't want the stitch on the face especially to get covered by extra fluff, and using any type of glue is basically a one-time thing, and if I mess up it's ruined, which I really don't want at this point. We're literally on the final stretch of this custom, so I do not want to mess it up now. I do think hot glue will work perfectly fine for the bolts since it's just going straight into the neck, but the face stitch is really making me question everything. I think what I'm going to do is try and put the bolts on with hot glue, see how that goes, and then based off that we can see what we're doing with the face stitch. I'm going to do this off camera because I really want to focus and not mess it up, so I will see you guys when we're all done. Okay guys, we are back and we are now ready for the final reveal of the Frankie Stein custom. Everyone please give a warm welcome to Miss Frankie. Here is Miss Frankie. I am obsessed with this custom. I think she looks really good. The ears look amazing. The bolts look great. The stitch on the face is gorgeous. And of course her eyes just look perfect. Once I finished this custom, I was like, you know, this isn't enough. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm so happy with this custom, and the amount of footage that it took to make this custom was insane. I swear I edited like 3 hours plus of footage. But it also only took me like a couple of days, like 3 days total to finish this custom. And as much as I love her, I think we could have done a little more. So off camera, which is why this video is so delayed, I decided that I would stick to my word at the start of this video and make her outfit. So guys, let's give Frankie a second to go change. And now I introduce you to Frankie Stein in her full form. Oh my goodness guys, I love this outfit so much. It took me weeks to finish though. Oh my goodness, it was so difficult. I also ended up buying a sewing machine when I went and got the fabric for the outfit. I've been meaning to buy a sewing machine for the longest time. Every time I start a new project, I'm like, I should just get one, and then I never do. But I finally decided to just do it, and so I got one, which was amazing. It made the process a lot easier, and I was able to do things that I've never been able to do before. But of course, because this is a brand new sewing machine, I've used a sewing machine like twice before this, so I had to learn how to use the sewing machine as well while making this outfit, so it did take me a little extra time. I had to color in every single one of these squares from the fabric and also add some lining on the skirt, but that wasn't even the hard part. The hard part was this, like the white part of her shirt. Oh my goodness, trying to get the collar down was so difficult, but I couldn't be happier with the result. I think she looks amazing. I think the outfit really brings this custom together, and I wouldn't change it for the world. The amount of time that I put into the outfit was way more than what I put into the custom itself, but it really did pay off. Now, of course, I couldn't make it exactly like the doll because proportions are different, etc. So I did have to kind of workshop with it. Now I want to make like 10 more Monster High customs. I love how Frankie turned out, so of course I need to make like 20 more. I did say in the start of the video that I wanted to make Frankie's little like pet into a custom as well, which I still do want to do, but I definitely couldn't even try to tackle it in this video because it would be like an hour long. Plus it's already taken me like 3 weeks just to finish this custom simply because of the outfit, but still 3 weeks nonetheless. I definitely think I will tackle that project off camera maybe, or if you guys really want to see it, then I will film it. Let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I will just make it off camera and then maybe post a community post about it, or maybe upload a short about it or something like that. So let me know what you guys want to see with that process because I definitely still intend on making it. I really hope you guys like the final product. I'm definitely over the moon with it. So with that all said, thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you for watching all the way to the end if you're still here. I really appreciate it. I know this video is going to be a really long one, so thank you for sticking around. I really hope you guys love the custom as much as I do. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye!